Testing. Testing. The audio is only coming out through one channel. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that should be fixed. Is the audio or is the music also stereo? Let me know if it's a good volume as well. Like I'm really quiet? I'm not sure if I can boost it. The audio or the music should be a bit quiet, but that's intentional. I can crank up the gain just a bit. Hello, hello. Let me change the mix a little bit. Is that better? Oh, also let me know if like it is the text readable, or should I make it bigger? Or I'll just go ahead and make it. That should be good, right? I'll give it like 2 minutes for people to show up. I've prepared a lot. Maybe too much. But I have here just a quick mock-up of what we're going to be building together, more or less. It's essentially just a calculator with a checkout button. Should be Should take maybe 2 hours, 2 or 3. Oh hey. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple years since I've done like a dev live stream. I'm still kind of shaky, nervous, but I'll as soon as I start talking about stuff, that'll hopefully just fade away. And but let me know if I go on too big of a tangent, because that will happen. So I guess we'll start off with like introduction to I'm going to try and frame this as like this is what Flutter development looks like, and if you wanted to contribute to this, what would that look like? And so I think a good place to start is I'm not going to go too far into the details, but I want to illustrate how easy it is to set Flutter up and actually get started. And so it's pretty easy. You just have to git clone the repo, right? And I've already gone ahead and done that. You cd into it. Oh, I'm already in it. And copy the template env file to just being a .env file. Wait. Oh, I misspelled env. And then install, just go through the Flutter installation guide for whatever your system is. So you follow these directions, get Flutter added to your path, and it's as simple as Flutter pub get, and this will take a while, so I'm just going to skip it, and Flutter run. And if you have an Android device connected to your computer with debugging enabled, that's it. That's all you should have to do. And on iOS, it's a little bit more complicated. You have to install Xcode and a whole bunch of other stuff. But with Android, it's pretty easy. So I have here an Android emulator set up. Usually I use a real physical device because it's more accurate for things like push notifications and whatnot. But it's easier to display and go over things. So real quick, I'm going to go over all of the new features in 0.7.3, which came out today. So we'll go down here to the changelog. And the big thing really is the subscriptions menu. Some minor like quality of life things, like the icon for notifications is updated. You can see here it was just a dot before, and the ability to change where the app gets its proof of work from. So by default it uses the Nautilus node, but any URL that uses the standard post API for getting proof of work, so you post a hash at a URL, will work. So I think the proof of work server, I think it's made by I'm blanking on the name, but yeah, if you set one of those up, you can use your own proof of work however you'd like now, which is really nice. And then some other just like UI fixes and things like that. And so I have like a just a test subscription set up here, and I think this is set up to go off like every 5 minutes, but I won't keep pestering you about it. It's only I don't know if BoomPow would work, because so the Nautilus node is set up to use, I think BoomPow is disabled right now. It's set up to use a couple of different sources of proof of work, including a local machine, which is currently offline. But yeah, I could add support for BoomPow relatively easily. the big part was like separating how it was done from within the app. So like the legwork is done. It just needs to know where to get it from. Or you could even set up like a relay. But for adding a subscription, you put in a name, an address, an amount, and the frequency is, I think I took the suggestion from, I think, Sizo on the Discord, and I'm probably butchering his name. But yeah, it's just a standard cron format. And if I go ahead and pay this, then 5 minutes from now, I will get a notification saying that my subscription is due, because this subscription recurs every 5 minutes. So, where was I? Let's get started with what we're working on today, which is it's essentially Nault's merchant mode. That's pretty much where the idea came from. So I have this over here. So the account will just be the default, whatever you're on here. And it's just a express way to, punch in an amount and have a QR code set up to for a transaction. So it's more or less just going to be this show QR code menu, but I want to take it a step further. So for people who aren't familiar with this menu, it's just a regular Nano QR code, but it's customizable with whatever number you put here, and it updates automatically. What I'm going to do instead here is I'm going to add another tab here called Business, and it's going to pop up a sheet like this, and in it I'm going to add and I'm showing this on camera here, just like a calculator, because if you're a business, like, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a silly idea, but I'd imagine this is like what you would want at like a cash register, is to be able to add up the total of items and then quickly generate a QR code for them to scan. I'm going to be skipping like a lot of boilerplate. So there's going to be some sections where I'm just commenting things out, or I have things set up already. But the majority of like the actual UI work I have done research on, but have not actually, done any setup for. So I already have set up an additional navigation bar item here. So I've got this empty sheet, and this is pretty bare bones. We've got a class, a build method, and just some columns. This just sets up this little handlebar here, and a row of buttons. And these buttons actually do nothing. And so the prior research I did for this video is, and there's that subscription, is I just searched up Flutter calculator, and what I got, what I have on my iPad is just a mock-up. And so I literally just search, and I do this for a lot of features, and I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel most of the time. A lot of times I'm just implementing some package that's just already out there. But this is something I'm going to want to customize in the future. And so I just found some tutorial simple calculator app using Flutter. And so the plan for the video for the stream, is to really just copy and paste this and then modify it to our liking. And I do that a lot for and like it's a little bit of a problem with the code base, but there's a lot of there are a lot of like structural elements in Flutter that are uh, hard to reuse, and I'll get more into that when we get into like input management and like actually typing with the keyboard and things like that. But for now, I'm gonna move ahead and get started. So yeah, this is the calculator demo here on this tutorial. So we've got a scaffold body. It's gonna yell and complain. And here I am going to hide this, and we're gonna put the tutorial window on its side here. So they implement this class myButton. So I'm gonna comment all these out and replace them. And I'm just going to return a size box, which is basically an empty container. It's just nothing. We'll see what that looks like. Probably just nothing. No, okay. It's upset because there's no width. And I'll make this a container with a background. Or not. Oh, and something really nice about Flutter is that you can do hot reloading. Rarely, sometimes you'll have to do like a hot restart, but it's quite rare that you have to actually do that. And so prototyping in Flutter is quite fast. Not sure what's going on. I've angered the Flutter gods. So we dismissed that subscription notification earlier, but the icon for it is persistent. So any unpaid subscriptions you have will show up here as this thing, even if you have notifications turned off. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me So this is an item builder. We've got a grid view. Let me just force it to re-render something I know that will work. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay. Let's get back all my changes. Okay, I need to actually look at this more closely. Got an expanded container. Let's just go ahead and implement this my button. And we're going to need this math expressions package. I'll move this to a separate file later. Oh, this code was written before null safety. Okay. I don't remember the type here. I think it's just function. We're just gonna comment this out. I'll come back to this. Oh no, it's because I renamed it. Okay. What's wrong? Ah. What is this? Is operator. Oh. I'm just gonna hard code these colors for now. And I haven't defined those functions yet. What's wrong with this? Can't use my button because it's declared more than once. Did I paste it in twice? Ah. Okay. All right, the hot reload was successful. So hopefully we can... No, it's still complaining. What's wrong with this? I can't even change. Okay. If I have to, I'll just re-implement this with myself. It'll just take longer. Is it the gesture detector? It might be. Ah, okay. I think that was it. No. It still won't render. Is there something else in the tutorial? They have the is operator here, equals pressed, but these are just functions. I shouldn't need them in order to get this to render. I'm gonna override the whole build method. I'll just... I mean, at this point, we're just copying the whole file. So I'll comment this out and see if this works. All right, I'm just gonna implement this myself. Might keep the button class, and it won't be as clean. But it's whatever. I'll be able to explain better as well, hopefully. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by making a column of rows. And on each row, I'm just going to add these buttons. And I'll work out like all of the positioning and formatting, all that stuff will come later. And we'll put this all in a container, which I'm just going to give a fixed width of 300 and a height of 600. So that's going to wrap our column that contains our rows, and on each row, so I'm going to reference this thing here. I'm going to put I'm just going to start with the numbers now: 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, and then we'll get to this special functions later. I'm just going to create these buttons and get this layout going. So we'll create this my button. So 7 comes up first. Oh, and the AI is going to do it for me. 8, 9, and let's see if the AI will. There we go. Thank you. Let's see what that looks like. What's happening? How am I still having issues? Maybe I need to do a restart. Or maybe the issue is in this button class. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, I just needed to do a hard restart there. So these are obviously not very spaced out, but we'll fix that. And what do we have in here? A clear plus minus percent delete. Okay. So we need we need 2 additional rows. A clear plus slash minus and delete. And divide, multiply, minus, plus, okay. You know, I'm just gonna set the default here. So if I don't specify, these are what the values will just default to. so I don't have to keep doing that. So that's divide, multiply, what is this, subtract? Uh, 0 dot equals plus. I'm gonna put the dot here. 0 equals and plus. And I might change this layout in the future. I'm not sure how exactly I feel about it, but it's good enough for now. The change node function, so it's better than it was before. WebSockets still don't work, but it should at least load your balance. And I think you can send a transaction, but I don't think you can receive a transaction. So what Paper is talking about is this feature. So the Nautilus and Atrium modes work because they are on similar backends, and they have the extra layers that go on top of the regular RPC calls. But if you use your own node, it's still a little bit janky. Changing the proof of work source, though, that does work. Yeah, it does work even if you're on your own node, I believe. In fact, it may be required. Yeah, you have to change your proof of work source, because if you're telling it to use, unless you've configured your node to use or to add proof of work to RPC calls for you, it won't work unless you change that URL. Hope that helps. So I'm gonna hot reload this. Okay. So yeah, let's get some formatting in here. Main axis alignment, space evenly. Let's see what that looks like. This is similar to, if you're familiar with CSS rules, rows and columns, they don't act exactly the same as like flex boxes, but they are very, very similar. So these rules, space evenly, center, end, space around, they're basically copies of the CSS justify CSS rule. So if you, this might look familiar to you. Okay, not terrible. Let's space it out vertically a little bit more and give them each defined containers, so they all take up the same space. Can I try changing my node to Natrium? It's still defaulting back to your node for me. Sure. If I change it to Natrium and then what, restart the app? I'm just going to do a hot restart because it's pretty much the same thing as just restarting the app, but I don't lose the context. That Action Hero says, hi, thanks for doing this live stream. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, so the Natrium node is still selected. The choice is remembered. So there are a couple of things that could cause that issue. I suggest the two things that would fix it though are resetting the app, clicking this button, or uninstalling and reinstalling. Because it could be that there's something wrong with like the database upgrade path. But I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Your phone is just cursed. What phone do you have? If you don't mind me asking. Okay. OnePlus 6T on Android 10. I test on both Android 12 and Android 13. So my main phone is Pixel 5, and then I have my old Pixel 3, which only supports Android 12. And so between those, I get most of the coverage. So it could be an Android, like it could be that, but it's super unlikely. It's more likely like something else is at play, like the way you've specified your node is like invalid, and so when it tries to switch, it fails. But I don't know. I've set you've DM'd me your node details, and I didn't have any problem using it, so I'm not sure. My advice is to uninstall and reinstall and see if that fixes it. But beyond that, I'll have to look at it another time. Where was I? Oh, so these two buttons down here, I'm going to change these to checkout. I'll unify the buttons later, but for this stream and the sake of time, I'm going to make two buttons here: checkout in USD and checkout in Nano. And essentially what these are going to do is open up this menu right here, this show QR code, pre-filled. So if I go, so most people, little known feature here is if you put in a number here and then you go to hit show QR code, it pre-fills this for you. And so we're going to do the exact same thing. On this business page, you're gonna click these buttons, do your calculations, and then we're gonna take the result and then either check that out in Nano or check that out in USD, depending on most likely you're doing your calculations in USD or whatever your currency is. So I'll make the option to just switch between the two later, but that's more complicated. So for now, we might actually just stick to doing it in Nano. But I'm going to go ahead and link up these buttons here. So I have this helper class here. So I'm going to go to the the receive sheet. So something nice about Dart is that you have you basically have a file for each sheet is its own file. which is very nice because you can just, whenever you want to work with a particular part of the code base, you just search up that file, and it's very neat and organized, and I like it a lot. And so what we're looking for is, this is the receive sheet. In this enter amount, we grab that when we click show QR code. So I'm going to look up show QR. That's the name of the button. And this is the relevant code. So I'm going to be grabbing this because this is what we want our function to do. And I've got to import these sheet utilities. And I'm going to comment this out for now. So now if I go and click this button, it pops up this sheet. And so this is what this will look like. I guess I didn't put enough zeros here to pre-fill it with an actual amount of nano. There we go. So that's what we're going to be doing. After these calculations are done, you're done, we'll grab that as a string and pass it to this button. So let me refer to this tutorial again real quick. How do they handle... Okay. Cool. Let's copy this over here. Bottom overflowed. So the expanded class essentially just says expand the child element to fill whatever space is available. And it works a lot like a flexbox in that if there's two expanded elements, I think they take up 50% of the available space, but you can change those weights. You can have like a 60-40 split, or whatever ratio that you want. Okay. So why didn't this add anything? There we go. So here we have, this is the, when we click on these buttons, they'll show up here, and then when we press equals, we'll set the answer to something. And then afterwards, we'll grab that. So we can just take this answer string and plug that into our sheet. So amount raw. So I have a function get raw. No, get amount. I have a helper function that will convert amounts like 2.14 into actual raw, but they are all confusingly named, which is my bad. This does the reverse. Oh wait, I can find it in the receive sheet because we do it here. So we first want to sanitize it, which just removes things like spaces and whatnot. And then number util.get amount as raw. There we go. This is what we want. Which is basically what I had here. Already commented out. I'm now realizing. So I'm gonna set this to that not currency format? We'll just comment this out. And formatted amount is what is this? Oh, okay, I know what's missing. I have the local currency. I need to initialize it. Here we go. This is just some currency handling shenanigans. Okay, and I think we can just keep all of this now that we have the local currency mode, or the local currency format. So I'm just gonna copy that again so that it's consistent. All right, so to recap, we sanitize the amount here, which we get from the answer variable, and then we're ignoring the fact that we're in local currency mode is basically are we using USD, which I'm ignoring for now. But we want to know if this string is empty, or it's equal to 0. I guess that doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Or if it's equal to 0, we just set the amount raw to 0, which is what we want. And then this just changes the amount from a decimal, from a nano amount to a raw amount. I think those are the correct terms. So let's reload this. And it's mad. Oh, there we go. See, the answer is 999. We get this 999 here. Honestly, like, the functionality is I'm gonna say the easy part. The hard part is like making it look nice, and making it easy to use. Those are easily the hardest parts. I've gone through like so many iterations of this like send and request form and putting these in different places. These used to be the same form with this request button just being a request next to the send, but people didn't like that because you click send and then you click request, which doesn't really make sense. But it is like, the same form. So it's a trade-off here. Like, either you have the same form in two different places, being used for two different things, or, ultimately I went with like what I thought made the most logical sense for most amount of people, because I was getting too many comments of like, why is this not in this location? And those are the kinds of comments to try and listen to. Like any area of friction that you get when like talking to people about like the user experience, like whenever they're like, oh, why is this here, or like, I didn't expect this to be here, maybe you could move like, those are the things that I think make the difference between like, a usable or good wallet experience, or just experience in general, from a great experience. A bit of a fear that I have though is that like things are getting a little bit too cluttered, but I don't know. I try and keep things like organized. Like I added this more settings menu to try and part out all these different options. Like they don't all have to be usable by like the majority of users aren't really going to touch this menu, and so but it's still like easy to access if you need it. Something that took me forever, but like is such a small thing, is this right here. Being able to swipe like this without having to click this button, that was an enormous amount of work. It's not intended, like this is against like the scaffolding design, but I wanted to be able to do this. Just a bit of a developer insight, I guess. You can do that. Are you talking about? Are you talking about this right here, the sliding thing? I don't know how far back you are, but yeah, any of these submenus, you don't have to click this button. You can just slide it out, just like a nice little UI or user experience thing. And then just like subtle things like updating these buttons, moving things into corners. Those are all like, they take a lot of thought, but you know, in hindsight they're always obvious. You're like, oh, that makes sense. But like when designing it, you're like, where do I put this? Let's get back to this. So let's change this text here. Let's remove that. Let's make this the primary button. And this is the top button. This is just a function that like simplifies building buttons throughout the app. There we go, and it still says share address. So localization is like a real pain in the ass, to be honest, but so I'm gonna ignore it for this stream. But typically I'd create a string here and then translate it. But here I'm just gonna type in the string. So we're gonna just call this checkout. There we go. And let's make these buttons work and a little bit more pretty. And see how that looks. So I'm gonna go back to this this my button, and we're gonna give the container just a fixed width and height, and so they'll be all the same size. Ooh, that's too big. They're not spaced out enough for that. I'll have to dynamically size these later. But for now, just to make things easy, maybe 60 pixels. That looks good. Why are there not? Is there not a fourth button here? Let me look back at this tutorial. C plus / minus %. Okay, I'm missing the %. Which is the modulo operator, if I remember correctly. There we go. And then to space these out, main axis alignment, space these evenly. Hey, there we go. It's not quite an exact grid, but it's good enough for now. Come to think of it, these buttons should just actually be material UI buttons, but I think these are just like text containers. Yeah, with the gesture detector. Okay, this is a very ugly button code-wise, but we can give it a nice square-ish border radius, and that will hide the disgusting parts, like the fact that when you click it, nothing happens. Real quick though, I am gonna change the text color to be, this is just gonna save me trouble later, the current theme. So this is just like, this is essentially one fat global variable, and then this is the current theme, and then this is the color of text for that theme. So the current theme holds colors for various things, and then the text default text color is what most text is with the exception of things like some buttons and whatnot. And so then I'm going to do the same thing, but for the background color. So I actually don't need these. So what is this? Text color, and it's just called color. Okay. So we'll do background dark. Let's see what that looks like. Nope, that's the same color as the background, so we need to change that. Not enough contrast. Let's try background darkest, which might actually be even lighter. Yeah, okay. But there's enough contrast here that it's legible. Oh, and so to make a new theme, it's literally just copying this base theme class and giving values to all of the different things. So if you want a particular theme, just let me know. They're easy to add. Might add a bit of padding here. Just add 2 pixels. See what that looks like. Nope, that is not what I wanted. Let's just reduce the font size. At font sizes dot medium. Oh, that's much nicer. And then we're going to use the same font style. Font style. What do I want? Oh, this is not what I want. I'll mess around with the fonts later. Is plus minus supposed to be plus? What is that? Oh, I'm gonna copy it though, because it saves space. I don't know what that character is. I actually don't know what operation that is, because now that I think about it, there's a plus and a minus here, and yeah, what is that? It's definitely a plus. I think that changes it from positive to negative. I think that's what that's supposed to do. Though, to be honest, there's not really any use for that in this. I mean, if we were just making a regular calculator, having negative numbers would make sense, or being able to change the values. But when you're checking out, you actually don't. Like, you might subtract a number from another number and get a negative number, but changing your number to be negative doesn't really make sense. And so I'm definitely going to keep the clear button and the maybe the modulo operator, but I don't know, for the sake of neatness I might remove it. We'll see though. For now I'll just leave it as is. I actually don't even remember what the delete button does. Does it just remove characters from like the back? I guess I can just, look at the tutorial. So what did these do? So these are just the special buttons. So I'm going to make the default function on this. Ooh, can I specify a default function? Like, is this going to work? I actually have no idea. It's already angry at me. The default value of an optional parameter must be constant. Which I don't think functions are constant in Dart. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh wait, okay, I know the way to get around this. What is the gesture detector? Okay. On tabbed, or, and then here I have my function. There we go. Dart just kind of lies to you sometimes. Like, yes, the default constructor or the default parameter has to be constant, but you can at runtime tell it if it's null, just, you know, substitute. Which is technically different. So it's technically right, but it's not helpful. So we're gonna call set state here. What just happened? What did I do? Set state isn't defined for the type of my button. Ooh. I'm calling it in the wrong context. Okay. I'm just going to do this the painful way. Because I don't have access to set state in this context. Which means I got to define stuff for all these numbers. But I'm going to have the AI do most of this work. No, not buttons. Index. Just the number 8, please. There we go. The AI got the message. Or not. Oh, I copied too much. All right. So now we should be able to, at the very least, type in some numbers. But the equals button doesn't do anything yet. please add an option to hide numbers after imbalance. What do you mean? Like in the balance? What, like this? Like when you click on it, it goes away? Or do you mean like in, is this related to the checkout feature, or I'm not understanding. So let's, ooh, okay. We got numbers, and that's about it. What time is it? Oh wow, it's already been over an hour. That's crazy. But I'm about where I thought I'd be. So the AI just did it for me. Beautiful. Let's see if it'll do it again. No, we need to check here. We'll comment that out for now. What do they do for the different operators? Okay, if the equal button is pressed, they just call set state equals pressed. Cool. We'll do that. So clears things now, and if I do 7, okay, the equals button breaks things. Beautiful. Handler on top. Unimplement handling missing static target. Oh, okay. So one quirk of hot reloading in Dart is if you add a package, in this case the math expressions library, you have to actually rebuild the application for it to take effect. So here I'm gonna do flutter clean because I know it's gonna break if I don't, and I have a pre-build script that I run which recompiles some Rust libraries because those like to break often for some reason. For those sick taxes, at least in the US, you got to do so much math just to figure out your taxes on crypto wallets, crypto transactions. It's ridiculous. Thanks for stopping by, though. Oh, but to seriously answer the question, this is like the idea behind this feature is more or less a point of sale terminal. So the idea is you'd have something like an iPad, and so this facilitates like using something like this as a point of sale device. So you're like adding up your different different costs of things. When you click this checkout button, it'll fill out this amount and show a QR code for somebody to scan. I just realized the music stopped. Probably a long time ago. So that finished building, and we'll run it back on the emulator. And that's going to take a minute. I'm just checking some messages. Why this t-shirt? Oh, I just have great taste. Got it myself. No big deal. Ooh, the build failed. What happened? What'd I do? Who did I anger? Oh, it's probably because I have the app open. Sometimes Flutter gets mad when you have an app open and you try and run it. Hopefully it's not something else. This is going a little longer than I expected, so I'm probably gonna wrap up when we get the checkout, or once we get all the calculator functions finished and the QR code working. Okay, it built successfully. Cool, we're back in. Or not. Maybe I can attach to the running instance. I'm gonna do another clean and pre-build. this is going to take another minute. This is annoying. It's like an ongoing issue that I have yet to figure out. This error right here, I only get this problem on Windows, and I think it has something to do with the directory limit. Like a path in Windows can only be so many characters. I think that's what it has to do with, but I'm not entirely sure. But I don't get this issue when I'm on Mac. But like completely cleaning the build and reloading it usually fixes it. So hopefully I don't have to spend time debugging this on stream, because that would really suck. At that point I'll probably like pull out my Mac and finish this. But this should work this time. Okay. It's attaching. Cool. It worked for real this time. That is developer speak for please pretty please work. It should work this time, for the 11th time, you know. Okay. So if I type in 4 and equals, okay. Now that I have the package installed, we're able to parse this string as an expression. So I'm going to go ahead and add the plus, minus, and multiply buttons, and we should be able to do some basic calculations. So not this, and the clear button works. Cool. So minus, untapped, set state. The AI is just going to do it for me again. Beautiful. I'm going to copy this because it's the same for plus. The wrong sign. Clear. Okay, so let's just do 4 plus 4 equals, we get 8, and if I hit check out, we get an 8 here, and let me scan this to see if this works. So I am opening up Nautilus on my phone, and I don't have a seed imported, so I have to grab that real quick. Oh, that's weird. Uh-oh. Seems that QR code scanning is not working. Okay, we're just going to use an atrium for this. Alright. And if I scan that, I don't get the amount filled, so that is not working. So let me open up my camera and open that up. The amount is being... okay. I think I just broke this. Like 10 minutes before stream. So if I go to this... So what's happening here in this QR code is it's putting in the Nano address, but it's incorrectly formatting the amount. Right here. This should say amount equals instead of amount colon. So I'm going to search for that because this is, I believe, in other parts of the application. I'm not sure how long this has been broken for, but it's good I found out now, I guess. So, quick bug fix. I like how I add inline comments to the end of the parentheses to signify its UI type. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but thank you. All right, so if I refresh this QR code should work now if I scan it. Yep. Oh, the camera's over there. So it fills out both the address and the amount. So I just have to implement the rest of these functions. I don't quite know what the delete key is supposed to do, but I'll add the divide and multiply, and that'll be it for the stream. Oh, and the decimal and the 0, I guess. I'll be doing like all of the like neatness off stream probably, because that's like, in my opinion, not that fun to watch. Though if I could be wrong, maybe people want to see that. Okay. And what else doesn't work? Divide and multiply. And we use the star here. After 9. And we'll make sure these work. Maybe I want to add spaces here. I'm not sure if that'll work with the expression library, but we'll see. So 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Okay. Yeah, so for just formatting, we'll add that space there. And maybe we'll do the same for multiply. Maybe all of the expressions, or all of the operators. I feel like that might look better. Cool. I think all that's left is, does this work? Yeah. I think all that's left is the delete. Oh, and modulo, which should just be another. Did I screw this up? Oh, I'm missing a comma. Okay. Substring 0. Yep. Just remove the last character. The AI got it again. Which is a W for me. So 79, delete. Yep. Cool. So I think that's it for this stream. Thanks everyone for watching. And I don't know if enough people like this. I might do it again, like once a month or so. I'll see you guys.